An amazing season is taking place in Alabama, and I don't mean from Tuscaloosa. The UAB football program is back as we go one-on-one with radio color analyst for UAB football and writer for Blazers 247 Steve Irvine on the OFN meeting room with Greg DePalma. It's October 19, 2017. I'm Greg DePalma. Thanks for tuning in to the OFN meeting room as we talk UAB football with Steve Irvine. And Steve, first of all, thanks for joining us today.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you having me on, Greg.
All right, Steve. So, I don't know what you're going to say because I haven't been there. But I have to ask you, at this point in the season, did you have any idea, any at all, that UAB would be where they are with the wins and the productivity and just the unbelievable events, considering where this program has been the last couple of years?
Absolutely no idea. I don't think if anybody tells you they had an idea, they're either lying or they're I don't know, or they're crazy. I don't know which one, but I do say this though. I do say with Bill Clark as the head coach of this program, seeing him work in 2014 and seeing what he had done in between, there was a small part of me that thought, you know what, this is crazy to think, but this could happen. I mean, they could have this kind of season. But honestly, if you would have told me, asked me to predict it before the year, I would have never went with that instinct. I would have said they wouldn't be anything like this.
Let's start off first of all by talking about what happened really a few years ago. I mean, from people outside of Alabama who maybe have only heard blurbs here and there about how this whole mess started off with. There were a lot of people who believed that the reason why UAB was no longer an FBS football program had everything to do with Alabama. And I don't know whether donors or alumni or whatever that didn't want UAB around. Somehow that could impact recruiting, which I don't know I have no idea how that works out. But you would know more than me. So what exactly happened?
Well, I think if you ask any UAB person, whether it be a fan, somebody within a program, just anybody, at least on the athletic side or within the football program, they would say, yeah, it definitely was a Alabama or Board of Trustees, University of Alabama Board of Trustees driven thing.
Okay.
They'll tell you different. They'll say that it wasn't. They'll say it was a money thing and that you just wasn't making enough money and draining too much money and that type of thing. So, I mean, it depends who you talk to. I think the bottom line is no matter what side you're on in that argument, is you can't argue that it really, really galvanized the community, the Birmingham community, and really brought out people kind of out of the woodwork that had never been really part of the UAB fan base or part of the UAB boosters or anything like that. And really the story is just the fact that this community came together and said, we're going to make this happen, and you can't forget that this is a community thing. I mean, the university has not put that much money into bringing this thing back. They basically said when they said, hey, you can bring it back, but you're going to have to pay for it.
Mm-hmm.
Talking to the community, and so that's what's been neat about this whole thing. No matter what side you're on, I have my beliefs, and they don't fit with the same beliefs as the Board of Trustees, but the bottom line is it's just been an incredible story to get this thing back.
And how did when you saw how the players themselves that were brought here and you kind of knew what you were going to be dealing with heading into this season, was there any particular move as far as any players, whether it be transfers or freshmen, and obviously one freshman is particularly having a huge impact in Spencer Brown. But was there any specific person or player, or how did the transition go itself, and what you were witnessing, and in any sort of belief that there's some decent players here?
Well, yeah, you could see it all along that they had some pieces of some really good players, and I do think that the key signing they had, or the key person they brought here, is a kid who's not with us anymore. Is Greg Bryant, was a running back out of Notre Dame that came in when they first started the program back. He was one of the first signees that Coach Clark brought in here, and and just was. I think when people saw him come in, they thought, "Oh my goodness, he's going there. Something's happening there now." Tragically, Greg Bryant died and got shot and killed. Um, it's been over a year ago now. I'm not sure the date exactly when it was, but I really think that Greg Bryant's looking down on us, and really is he kind of spurred this whole thing. I mean, really, you talk to Coach Clark, he'll tell you that he was the one recruit that he brought in that other recruits looked at and again thought that, boy, he's going there. There could be something special. And then from there, I think it's just been amazing how these guys, how this coaching staff just found players. I mean, they found them from all over the country. They found them from, good situations, bad situations. Did a great job of evaluating on some kids like Spencer Brown, the freshman running back. Just a great job evaluating, and just kind of brought this group in, and really, this program has never had. Well, I don't know, never, but it's certainly been a long time that they've had this kind of talent.
Yeah, I mean, they've only been to one bowl game, yeah, in their history. So, and you take a look at the situation right now, they've got 4 wins. So when you see the schedule and you go, okay, well, I mean, there's Rice and UTEP at home. So bowl, wow. I mean, especially the way this team is playing, to beat Louisiana Tech and Middle Tennessee, and we understand that it's also probably a little bit of a downer year in the conference. I mean, Western Kentucky is not the same with Brom gone. Louisiana Tech is not as strong. Middle Tennessee's, had their quarterback out for most of the season, but still, back-to-back wins against those two programs have put UAB in a prime position for a bowl in their first year back.
Yeah, and I think too the way they won the last 2 games, the way UAB has been able to win the last 2 games, games that literally came down to the last play, and you're thinking about a team that's was basically given the death penalty 2 years ago. You would think the close games like that would be the ones that they find a way to lose.
Yeah.
And honestly, in this program, the UAB program over the years, they found ways to lose games. They just have. I mean, they've been in games and they've just found ways to lose them. To win back-to-back games in the fashion that they won those games is, it really doesn't matter who is on the other side, even though those are 2 of the stronger programs and traditionally stronger programs in Conference USA. To do that against anybody really is really amazing.
Yeah, if you, and you can actually even go back, of course, even though it was a loss, it was the first test against North Texas conference game, and that one went right down to the wire. 3-point loss, exciting game, and then the bye week, and then the 2 wins. So even though they lost that first game, they were able to come back after that and win their next 2, which puts them in really good position. Because I mean, you take a look at this North Texas team, and you tell me. I mean, I really like what Seth Luttrell is doing at North Texas, and it wouldn't surprise me at all if the division title goes down to whether UAB has to worry about a one-on-one loss to North Texas.
Oh, I totally agree. I mean, I absolutely love North Texas. I think they're, Mason Fine, a quarterback, to me is a guy that makes them go, and he's incredible. I mean, just an incredible player. And Jeffrey Wilson is probably an NFL running back, and Jalen Guyton's probably an NFL receiver. Their defense obviously has some problems, but they'll outscore you. And Seth Luttrell's done an incredible job there, and I just think they're super. I don't, as a UAB guy, I sure hope they find a way to lose 2 more games and UAB, if UAB keeps winning. But I don't know that I see 2 losses on them. I really don't. Because they just find ways to win games, and boy, I love teams that do that.
Yeah, they may have to lose this week at FAU, because if not, Louisiana Tech's the only other game that on the road that you would think that North Texas, might lose, and then they end the season at Rice with the other games at home. As far as UAB, you're at Charlotte, and actually 4 road games in the next 5 weeks, so that's not easy. But it starts with Charlotte, and Charlotte has not had a good season so far. Do you worry at all about the players? And I mean, look, I can kind of relate because as a Jet fan, they went to Cleveland a couple of weeks ago after getting off to a start nobody believed in, and you kind of felt, uh-oh, now here's a game everybody's expecting them to win, and then they barely did win. Do you kind of think that may happen here too, where you get off to this great start, you just beat two big opponents at home, these are just kids, and then you got this Charlotte team that hasn't been playing much. Does this game scare you at all?
Scares you to death. It really does. And I know that that's one thing that the coaching staff has really been, just beating into the kids' heads all week because they're scared of it. I mean, it's a scary game. There's no doubt, because I think there is some talent there at Charlotte. They haven't put together. There's no doubt. The quarterback, they think he's, they think he's very good, and the running game I think can move the ball on people. So I don't know. I think it's very scary. I think just like you said, these are kids, and it's just human nature to get caught up in. Everybody's telling them right now how good they are and how great this season is.
Uh-huh.
There's all this chatter about bowl game and bowl eligibility and this type of stuff. They're certainly not talking about that within the football building, but outside of it, there's a lot of talk of it. So yeah, just human nature. I think is will scare you. But the one thing that I think they do have in their favor, even though this is a team that hadn't played in 2 years and it's all new guys together, for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
There are a bunch of older guys on this team. That's the one thing that Coach Clark did when he went out and built this team. He didn't want to build it with, a bunch of true freshmen or redshirt freshmen, whatever, a bunch of young guys and kind of take your lumps. He went out and got a lot of older guys. I mean, these guys that have been in different places. And so I think they have taken a mature approach to it, even though they're not that mature on the field necessarily. The guys that hadn't played that much necessarily, but they're 23, 24, 25-year-old. They got a 27-year-old punter. They've got some older kids and older guys, so I think that'll help a little bit.
Yeah, and you would also think that it takes a kind of unique player to go through this process and wait for their time to play football. It's not easy to do, and it takes a certain special kind of player. And so far, it definitely looks like UAB has a bunch of those. As far as some of the players, Early, the quarterback. Now, this is a kid who has got some wheels. I mean, that's what really helps the engine run. He's got 200 yards rushing, 7 touchdowns on the ground. You throw in freshman Spencer Brown, who's got over 600 yards rushing and 6 touchdowns, and that's how this offense runs, right through the ground.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, there's no doubt. I think AJ Early is a better passer than he's shown or that they've shown. But they're certainly, they're going to run the football and that's what they do first. And, Spencer Brown has just been, he's Jordan Howard, Jordan Howard, who's a second year of the Chicago Bears, he's the same guy. I mean,
wow.
He's the same size.
Okay.
They run alike. They both were, under recruited kids from the same area, not the same high school, but the same area just outside Birmingham. And he just reminds us so much of a Jordan Howard type guy. Probably a little stronger than Jordan Howard, but not quite as fast as Jordan Howard, even though both guys are strong and fast both. But he's tremendous, But, they also have guys around him, and with Early's ability to run, he hadn't run as much the last couple games just because he's a little banged up, and not anything that's going to keep him out, but, just he's run and he's been hit a lot. That's one thing early in the year. They didn't do a very good job of pass protection for him. And so he really took a lot of big hits, particularly in North Texas game. North Texas just bounced him around. And in fact, if they would have went to overtime in that game, he'd gotten hit on the last drive so many times that he probably wouldn't have played in overtime. He was so banged up. So, but he took the advantage of that of the bye week. And so he's not injured. He's just banged up.
Okay. Yeah, and he had 4 touchdown passes in that North Texas game, which was the best he's had so far this season. And his number one target with 4 touchdown receptions is Andre Wilson. So Wilson's the main guy. He's really the only threat right now in the passing game, right?
Well, he's the best. I mean, he's the guy. He's the kid that's had the best success so far, and he's just one of those guys that knows how to make plays. I mean, he just gets the ball in his hand, knows how to make guys miss, and very good hands, and certainly has been the number one guy. But there's a couple other kids. Colin Lisa's a kid that played with him in 2014 that hadn't had as many catches, but he's one of those timely catch guys, kind of a possession guy that I think is at some point is going to really bust out for him. And then there's a big receiver on the outside, Ronnie Turner, a junior college kid from California that's 6'4", that's really, he has 12 catches over the last 2 games and is really kind of coming on in the passing game. And so, and I think one thing that's hurt them in the passing game is they love to throw to the tight end.
Okay.
And their tight ends have been back to the first day of fall camp, they lost 2 tight ends within a few plays of each other. They were really deep at tight end at that time. They lost 2 of their guys that were going to be in the mix right away with knee injuries. And then the guy that was going to start, Logan Scott, had a knee injury that he had some surgery in the off season. So he was kind of easing his way into it. So they really haven't had a chance to throw to the tight end. Now Logan Scott's back and they got a couple other guys, but they're not as good there as they thought they were going to be. So they've been trying to ease. I mean, I think that's one reason why they haven't had some of the success throwing the ball.
Okay.
But now they've got their receivers. More receivers are kind of starting to show up, so I think that's going to help them.
All right, and on defense, there's 3 specific players that look like they're the leaders at this point. You have Shaq Jones on the line and Tevin Cruz at linebacker and Broderick Thomas in the deep patrol. Are those the 3 main guys on defense?
Well, those are the 3 that have probably made the most plays. Shaq Jones and Tevin Cruz were both returners. They were both there in 14 and have been around a long time, run the program a long time. They're kind of the emotional guys, emotional leaders, and also leaders on the field. Broderick Thomas is he's a playmaker. He's just this guy runs around, makes tackles, had a big interception last week. But I think really what makes him go is up front, the stats don't jump out at you, but Stacey Keeley is a defensive end, 6'7", 240 that just gets after the quarterback. And he's been hurt. He got hurt in the opener against Alabama A&M and then played, but then got hurt against Ball State and had to miss most of that game, missed the game after. And so he's really kind of just starting to get going, but he's tremendous. I mean, he really, when he's on the field, he breaks things down. And then inside, Tico Powell and Anthony Rush are 2 big tackles that they were both playing nose tackle, but they've moved them side by side, and they kind of just stop up the middle. Anthony Rush is a kid from North Carolina. He's from the Raleigh area, so he's coming back home to play Charlotte. So he's pretty excited about this week. Both those kids, I think, are really are kind of where it starts defensively.
If you had to name a player on defense that you'd give the best chance of making it in the pros, who would it be?
I think Stacey Keeley. I mean, I think Stacey Keeley. He's a kid that he like I said, he's a lot of pressure on the outside, but he came to UAB at, I think he was 210 pounds, maybe 215. 6'7" kid, had played some receiver and had played some defensive end in junior college, but they've already put 35, 40 pounds on him, and I think a year from now he's going to be even bigger than that. So I can see him being a kid.
Before I let you go, is there and again, you've had a few games already, and feel free to choose a player from any of those teams or any of the other teams you've followed in the conference, but any specific players or player that outside, of course, of UAB, that anybody that may not be familiar with Conference USA football that maybe they should keep an eye on.
Well, I mean, I think the North Texas kids I already mentioned. The Tyree Brady from Marshall, that's the big receiver that came from Miami. He's an NFL player, I think. I love Khalil Brooks from Middle Tennessee, a defensive end. Didn't have UAB did a great job on him last week. but I think he's still leading the league in sacks, and he's really good. He's an outside backer that's kind of a safety skills and playing outside backer. I think he's real good. And then Jalen Ferguson from Louisiana Tech, the other defensive end that's had a great career there. I mean, I think he's a kid or a guy that's going to play in the NFL. So those are some of them that kind of jump out to me.
Awesome. Well, great job, Steve, and good luck the rest of the season. Hopefully, the second half is as good as the first half, because it'd be a great story. And again, tough stretch with 4 to 5 on the road, but this team appears so far to be mentally tough enough to be able to handle that. And maybe later on in the season, I know that the November 18th game is at Florida, which hey, you never know. We've seen crazier things happen, so
yeah.
Maybe we could talk to you again at some point towards the end of the season, or maybe even to preview a bowl game.
That would be tremendous. All those things would be tremendous. Bowl game sounds like a lot of fun, especially. But I really appreciate you having me on anytime.
Thanks, Steve. Appreciate it. Take care.
Thanks, Greg.
All right. That's Steve Irvine. Once again, Steve is radio color analyst for UAB football. He writes for the team for Blazers 247. You can follow him on Twitter at Steve Irvine 04 at Steve Irvine 04. So again, UAB, Charlotte this week, then at Southern Miss, 4 out of 6 on the road, and that 4th, by the way, out of the 6 is at the Swamp against the Gators. But they do get the Rice UTEP games at home, and those two teams are two of the worst teams right now on paper in the Sun Belt. In the Conference USA, which bodes well for a team that has 4 wins and only needs 2 for bowl eligibility. So get one more win on the road out of this four road game stretch. And knowing the Florida game is probably a loss, you try to get one just in case, but just try to get one just to cement the deal, because you're not going to lose to both Rice and UTEP at home. So try to get one between Charlotte, Southern Miss, and Texas San Antonio, and UAB is going to be fine. But again, at this point when you have 4 wins, you don't just think about getting bowl eligible now. Now you're thinking about, hey, can we get to the Conference USA championship game? Is that possible? Hey, why not? And look, we've talked a lot about North Texas on this network the last couple of years. They get to a bowl game last year, even though they only had 5 wins, but nice first season for Luttrell. They're even better this year. So take it from Steve. If you didn't want to listen to me, North Texas is a team to watch. They're at Florida Atlantic this week. It's a big game for North Texas because they only have 3 road games left, 1 at Rice to end the season. So if they are going to go down, the Florida Atlantic game, even though FAU is kind of in a rebuilding mode, North Texas is a better team. If North Texas can win that game, then they might probably already are in the driver's seat for the Conference USA Championship game. All right, so that is going to wrap it up here, and we have one more of these to go. And that is coming up in about, if you're listening live on Prime Sports Network, and that is going to be Olin Buchanan, Texas A&M football columnist at texags.com. We'll talk Texas A&M football. Don't forget, Demario Richard is going to be with me at 4 o'clock, Arizona State running back. And for you NFL fans, we'll talk to you at 2:30 for a Week 7 preview of the NFL with Tony Mejia. Don't forget to check out the college football depth charts at Ourlads, the best in the business. You can follow us on Twitter at PrimeSN. And once again, thanks to Steve Irvine. I'm Greg DePalma. We'll see you next time on the OFN Meeting Room on the Ourlads Football Radio Network.